This week on The Aviators, we take you behind the scenes as we speak to airshow announcer Rob Ryder.
25 years and 6,000 hours of flight practice.
Our Aviators 210 gets a complete glass cockpit panel makeover. And Curtis starts his journey to becoming a P-51 pilot as he trains in the T-6 Texan.
Back pressure, easy.
Every year, millions of people, with fans of the Aviators among them, attend air shows across North America. With static display aircraft, food vendors everywhere, and potentially hundreds of thousands of people all around you, an air show can easily be overwhelming. And that's without even mentioning the airplanes overhead tumbling and rolling across the sky. No one knows this better than Rob Ryder. With more than 33 years' experience announcing air shows, ensuring that everyone goes home happy is one of the biggest things Rob does.
Push the stick forward.
My job at the air show is to fulfill several roles. One, to make the aerial performers look like they're the best thing that ever happened on the planet. Number two, to tie things together so that there is a flow to the show, and working with the air boss is crucial to that.
Coming up in just a moment, look to the left. Ladies and gentlemen, on the left.
And the third thing, and probably the one that's used least, is to be that safety link in case something actually does go wrong. And that includes lost kids or lost parents, as the case may be. But in the case of an incident, then the announcer's job is to get into crowd control to some respect and make sure that things stay orderly and people don't panic.
The introductory flight will provide what no video.
Many people will also recognize Rob as the on-screen host of Sporty's Pilot Shop's instructional videos.
We've certainly covered a lot of ground exploring the Aspen evolution. And by this time, you may feel as though you're drowning in new information.
Between announcing and his work with Sporties, Rob is a veritable encyclopedia of aviation knowledge.
Depending on whose history book you read, there were about 10,000 of these airplanes built.
This is crucial, as when something goes wrong behind the scenes, like an aircraft having mechanical issues, Rob can keep the audience entertained while the issue is fixed.
When there's a lull, I can be there to stretch, to talk, to keep the show going, and so it doesn't go silent. You don't want to leave them guessing. You want to kind of guide the audience through the whole thing. And if that means doing some extra commercials, if that means talking about a static display aircraft, if that means encouraging people to go buy something or eat something, or if that means just letting everybody know the flow of what's going to happen next, all those things can come into play so that if the show flows better and it becomes an air show, because above all, it may be great aerial performances, but it is aerial entertainment. It's an air show. And so we don't practice, we rehearse. That's what that first day is for us. It's not just a practice, it's a rehearsal. So we try to do it the way we're going to do it.
Unfortunately, with week-long events like Sun and Fun and AirVenture, rehearsing is simply not possible.
He's been flying for 25 years and 6,000 hours.
The schedule changes every day as performers come and go. But for a weekend air show, it's normal for a full-motion rehearsal to be held the Thursday or Friday before the show.
It's always very important, particularly with an act that I've not worked with much before. So I know how far out they are. I can start my read and get the timing right, so I'm reading the script as it was given to me as the airplanes come by, and so the timing works. Rehearsals are very, very important. And if the show doesn't do a rehearsal and just throws some acts in the air, then it's okay for the performers to understand where they are in the aerobatic box, but it doesn't help with anything that has to do with flow. If we rehearse how we're going to do it, and we know that in the case of the warbirds, they're going to be stacked this way, this way, this way, and we can rehearse that ahead of time. Then when it actually comes for the show, the audience gets better explanations, gets better views, gets better understanding, and enjoys the warbirds more.
In 2007, Rob's contribution to the airshow community was recognized when he won the International Council of Airshows Sword of Excellence. Rob is also an honorary member of the U.S. Navy Blue Angels. But Rob's biggest goal has nothing to do with personal accomplishment.
I think part of the goal of what I would like to have happen with my career as an airshow announcer is to get more people involved in aviation. I have been working with Sporty's Pilot Shop for 25 years now as the on-camera host for their video pilot training series. People have watched me age over the last 25 years. You know, I got a lot more gray now, but I get an opportunity to share my passion for flight with people, and maybe somebody is gonna say, you know, I could do that. You know, I could do that, I could fly. And I have people come to me. I even had a person come to me, a lady in her 70s, say, I've been watching your videos. And so the more we can get people in aviation to fly and to love that passion for flight, to attend air shows, to be entertained, it's a great spectator sport. If I can help do that, that's a great accomplishment for my life, as well as to support the troops, the men and women of our armed services, whom I care for very, very deeply. You know, I got this Blue Angels crest. It's one of the proudest things that I own, that I was made an honorary Blue Angel back a year ago, September. And the team has allowed me to wear this crest. It's an honor for me to do that. The men and women of our armed services are the best of the best, and I love them dearly. And I want people around the country and around air shows to understand just what quality people the men and women of our armed services are.
After the break, the Aviators 210 gets a complete panel makeover. You might remember last year we showed you how I made my new, to me, Cessna 210 my own. Well, a couple of things that needed improvement are obviously the paint job, but also the instrument panel. So 8 weeks ago, we dropped the 210 off here at Mayday Avionics in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Well, the aircraft is ready. I can't wait to see it. Let's go check it out. But before we reveal the new panel, we're going to show you what it looked like and how it functioned pre-makeover. Here we have the old panel in all of its light brown glory. As you can see, all of the instruments are traditional analog gauges. There's something in all of the instruments that has to physically move to display information, whether it be a needle or the ball in the turn coordinator. Directly in front of me, you can see our basic 6-pack of instruments. The airspeed indicator, which tells how fast the aircraft is going, the attitude indicator or artificial horizon. This shows where the nose of the aircraft is pointing relative to the horizon. The altimeter, which shows how high above sea level the plane is. The turn coordinator, which shows the direction and rate of a turn. The heading indicator, which shows the heading that the aircraft is on. And the vertical speed indicator. This instrument shows how fast or slow the aircraft is climbing or descending. All of these instruments, plus the 2 course deviation indicators, which are used for, among other things, landing with the instrument landing system, will be replaced by 3 glass panels. Now, this isn't just a simple slip out the old instrument and pop in the new. The entire panel around the instruments has to be redesigned and reconfigured to fit the new glass displays. The first step in changing everything was to meet with Mayday Avionics and plan where everything was going to go. Replacing the entire panel would be a huge job and require weeks of work.
It really is, Andy.
Well, we don't do much with the
avionics.
The main flight instruments aren't the only thing being changed. The current communication and navigation radios, the transponder, and the autopilot are all being replaced as well. Knowing that the aircraft was in good hands, I gave Mayday the keys and said goodbye to the airplane. Next time I see it, this plane will be completely different. And here we are, 8 weeks later. I'm about to see the panel for the first time after its complete makeover.
So I'm excited and nervous at the same time, so I'm not sure. Here we go. Oh my God. That is gorgeous. That is unreal. It's so clean. It's so clean. I'll tell you, the minute you look inside the cockpit at that panel, I've never seen anything like that, up close. There's just a ton of information. I mean, there's ways to get all that information on any flight, so it's not like it's new information. It's just all there in front of you right now.
This panel is completely new. How I fly the airplane hasn't changed, but how I get all the information on what the plane is doing has. So let's take a look at how the new panel works. All of the information that was previously displayed in the 6-pack is now displayed on the center primary flight display. Airspeed, attitude, altitude, turn coordination, heading, and vertical speed. I also have a whole bunch of extra information, from calculated wind speed and direction to true airspeed and ground speed. To the left and right are two multifunction displays that can be configured to give a whole plethora of information. From moving maps, terrain and obstacle information to synthetic vision, which gives a three-dimensional model of the terrain I'm flying over. In the center of the aircraft, the dusty 70s vintage radios and transponder have been replaced. On top of that, both of these are GPS navigators with a full set of features, from flight planning and navigation to weather information to airport charts. Both of these touchscreen GPSs give me more information than I ever had before. Now, the important thing to remember is that all of these tools simply provide the pilot information. A glass cockpit like this may provide more information to a pilot than was previously available. However, the pilot in command is still responsible for digesting that information and making decisions accordingly. I still have to use my hands and feet to fly the airplane, but when I make a decision to do something, this panel will ensure that I'm better informed to make that decision than ever before. Coming up, Curtis takes the controls of the T6 Texan.
All pilots want to do is fly, and when the weather is marginal, sometimes our desire to be up in the sky can cloud our judgment as to whether or not it's safe to go. If the weather is questionable, don't push your luck. Wait for conditions to clear. Remember, it's better to be on the ground wishing you were in the air than in the air wishing you were on the ground.
The Allied forces trained more than 400,000 pilots for World War II. And after the recruits developed basic flying skills in airplanes like Stearmans and Tiger Moths, those who were destined to go on and fly fighters were going to transfer to an airplane like this, the T6 Texan. Today, like the recruits did more than 70 years ago, I'm going to get the chance to take controls of this T6. And if I do well enough, I'm going to have a chance next time to fly the most recognized fighter from World War II, a P-51 Mustang.
For his T6 training, Curtis is at Stallion 51 in Kissimmee, Florida. Stallion is most famously known as the home of dual-seat TF-51's Crazy Horse and Crazy Horse 2, as well as being the place for P-51 maintenance. Although he may want to, Curtis doesn't get to jump in and take the controls of the Mustang. Just like a recruit in World War II, he has to face the T6 Texan. Instructing Curtis will be 4,000-hour Texan pilot Steve Larimore.
So Steve, at Stallion, you guys have a very carefully prepared syllabus that you use to teach the T6. How does that compare to the kind of training the military would have given somebody that they were trying to transition into a P-51 or a P-47?
This is very similar to what they're getting. It's a syllabus-driven training program. Right? Everybody has to complete the syllabus, each thing. They have to do it properly. We brief before the flight, even orientation flights, and we debrief after the flight. It's a learning experience, very similar to what the military does today. Now, I can't really speak to what they were doing in World War II, but that's where those procedures were established in World War II.
Like recruits in World War II, Curtis has a lot of experience in tailwheel aircraft. In fact, of his 1,000 hours as a pilot, more than 800 hours have been in tailwheel aircraft. With Curtis's experience, Steve has decided that he'll be going straight to the front cockpit for today's flight. But before he straps himself in, Curtis attends ground school to brief for the day's flight.
Safety's our priority here. You're going to see me suggest and do things to reduce the risk. 2, we know you're going to learn something today about the Texan. And 3, we're going to have some fun doing it. And this is your flight. I don't do much hands-on stuff. I'm following you through. Consider me a coach. My ego is not so large that I have to show you what I can do in the Texan.
As an advanced trainer, the Texan was a lot of students' first introduction to more complex aircraft systems, like retractable landing gear.
Complex airplane. You've got to learn how to control the prop, controllable pitch prop. Landing gear, you have to remember the landing gear in the first place, how to operate it, landing gear speeds. So it's not that more complicated in airplane except for those 3 systems, and the canopy.
After being briefed on the systems of the aircraft and the plan for the day's flight, it's time for Curtis to head out and see the T6.
Okay. The first thing we do with the Texan is we want to make sure the mags are off and the mixture is back, because we're going to pull that prop through on our way around the airplane. Now we're going to walk around the airplane. I always grab the horizontal here because I just want to make sure it's firmly attached. Now you can't see the flaps, but what I want to mention to you is there's 3 different sections of the flap. Given time, the hydraulic pressure tends to leak off and the flap will start to droop. Some airplanes are a lot worse than others. Walking around here, I always make sure the cowling is on there securely. All these cowlings, they don't make them anymore. They're all patched. You see a lot of patches on them. They're not new. They're 60 years old. If you can find a new cowling, call me.
With their pre-flight complete, it's finally time for Curtis to strap into the Texan.
And I'm going to signal him that we're ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead and hit the starter.
Starter now.
Throughout the flight, Steve will be coaching Curtis.
Okay, now mags to both.
He expects him to make mistakes, and when he does, he'll correct him.
Yeah, release it now. Take your prop forward. Too much throttle. You hear that backfire?
Yeah, I did.
Now try to beat.
This is all part of making sure Curtis learns to fly the Texan properly.
Okay, everything's looking good to me. I'm going to call ground. Charlie Alpha, hold short of 3-3, Texan 5-1. Take your stick forward and pull to the hold short line, and there you go.
Once they're cleared for takeoff, Curtis takes the Texan out onto the runway, being careful to line it up with the center line before starting to bring up the power.
Release the brakes, go to 36 inches, and keep it straight, my friend. Once the tail's coming up, I teach people to add a little bit of back pressure at that point and feel for the lift, and it'll take off when it's ready. Back pressure, easy, positive rate, and gear up.
Tango, hold short of 3-3.
Start doing your S-turn.
After takeoff, Steve has Curtis move to a practice area where they'll be conducting the majority of the flight.
As we're climbing out, we're going to be doing quick reversals. These serve a couple of purposes. Get used to the bank, get used to the rudder pressure necessary, and clear the airspace in front of you at the same time.
Head traffic off the wing, 532 Charlie Alpha. 2 Charlie Alpha, turn crosswind, follow the arrow traffic off your left.
What a sweet feeling control system.
Pretty nice, huh? I told you you'd like it.
I can't believe how light it is. It's a great big airplane. With one hand, I can just roll it around the sky.
That's why people fall in love with it.
When they reach the practice area, Curtis completes a couple of steep turns before Steve decides it's time to show Curtis the stall characteristics of the Texan.
Up, decelerate about 1 mile an hour per second. There's absolutely no warning that this airplane is getting ready to stall, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. Get you familiar with the picture, the feel of the airplane. When it does go, we'll have pulled the power back to 20 inches. We'd like to keep a little bit of power on, and then we're going to stall the airplane. Be ready for a right wing drop. It always does when it's clean.
How's our rate doing? Is it okay?
You're doing great. You're going to feel a little instability and then
There it is.
Don't push.
One common misconception among non-pilots is the idea that an aircraft stall is the same as a car, meaning the engine quits. This isn't true. For an aircraft, a stall simply means that the wing is suddenly producing very little lift. This occurs when the aircraft exceeds what's called the critical angle of attack, and the airflow detaches from the trailing edge of the wing. With the Texan's characteristic right wing drop, Steve also teaches Curtis to do a rolling stall recovery.
Okay. You don't have to push it off.
Okay, so we're looking clear right?
Clear right. Pull till it breaks. Pull, pull, pull. Unload
hold it.
Unload it.
Woohoo!
As the flight continues, Steve takes Curtis through a number of aerobatic
Push
maneuvers.
your right wing down, straight down toward the ground.
Wing overs,
Yeehaw! This is incredible.
a barrel roll,
Roll to those roads.
an aileron roll, and loops.
I wonder what those people down below are thinking. They should be jealous.
They are.
But the Texan's here to prepare him for the Mustang. His big test is landing the T-6.
The Texan is challenging enough on landing that the Air Force, the Army Air Force knew, and the Navy, that if they could get through the Texan program, they were going to be just fine in a frontline fighter, like a Mustang or a P-47 or something like that. And that's the key. You know, it can't be easy.
Okay, where do you want
We're
it?
way high. I'm going to give you full flap.
Okay.
Slam dunk. Look at that approach.
Holy crow.
Line it up. We're going to land about halfway down.
How's it looking for you?
Looking great. Ears down, 2 greens, mixtures forward, props forward. Keep your nose down for about 110 miles an hour for now.
Okay. This is a steep approach.
Yeah, well, you can do that with full flaps in a Texan. That's what I wanted to show you. Now, don't get it into backfire range. Just above the backfire range. There you go.
There's 105.
Okay, now start easing your nose up, not too soon. Let it settle in. You got your hand on the throttle. We're a little high.
Okay.
Ease the power back. Hold that attitude and ease the power back. Ease the power back. You're on the ground. Okay, ease the power all the way back. And keep it straight as you bring the tail down. This is the critical place.
I'll say it is.
Nice job.
I
Keep
feel
it
like I'm
straight.
waiting for it to do something. and
It's
it's
going to
actually
do
pretty
something.
well behaved.
Well, that's because you kept it straight.
I think I need one of these. That's what I'm pretty sure. I'm afraid that the problem with this is it's like the first, it's like a first free ride in anything. You go for a test drive and you need to buy the car. What an amazing airplane. It's such an effortless aerobat. It looks like this big heavy hulk in the sky, and with a little good coaching, it just rolls through the air like it's very happy to do so.
He did great. He did great. He's got good technique. He was an easy student. For somebody who's never done acro, he did great.
It looks like Curtis has gotten Steve's seal of approval, and he's passed the big test of landing the aircraft safely. Just like the recruit 70 years ago, now he's moving up to a fighter. Next week on the Aviators, Curtis continues his training and takes to the controls of the P-51. But unlike a recruit in World War II, Curtis has an instructor with him, the highest time P-51 pilot in history, Lee Louderback. Will Curtis wash out, or will he go home a successful P-51 pilot? Tune in next time on the Aviators.